there, welcome to ITV. I'm Varsha Nair. Today on ITV, we have an exclusive interview with the Ambassador of Pakistan to the United States, His Excellency Hussein Haqqani. Nadia Afreen talks to the Ambassador about the recent floods that ravaged many parts of Pakistan.
Pakistan has recently experienced one of the worst natural disasters in the country's history. Nearly a fifth of the country remains underwater and about 20 million people have been affected. We are here today with Ambassador Hussein Haqqani at the Pakistan Embassy in Washington, D.C. Ambassador, thank you for being here with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about the situation on the ground. What are Pakistan's long-term and short-term needs in the aftermath of the floods?
Pakistan has undergone the most massive flooding in its history. In fact, the last big flood in the Indus Basin area was in 1929. In some places, the flooding was 5 times the magnitude of the flood of 1929. So the consequence is that 20 million people have been affected, 8 million children. Most people have either had to leave their homes or they have lost everything, even if they haven't moved physically from the area where they had traditionally been living. The government has had to deal with a massive rescue and relief effort. The first concern has always been to try and get people to safety. That phase is now almost coming to an end as the floods are receding, the water is receding. But whenever the floods recede, the biggest problem that is faced by a flood-affected nation is the possibility of waterborne diseases. 20 million people need to be fed. They need to be provided clean drinking water. The children need to be, infants need to be immunized. Children need to be protected against various diseases. Security needs to be ensured against the possible outbreak of epidemics of cholera, diphtheria, even malaria with standing water in some parts. That phase will have to be followed up by a phase of rehabilitation. All these people need to be brought back to their homes. Then comes the reconstruction phase. A quarter of the crops in Pakistan have been destroyed. 1/3 of the country's landmass is underwater. Industries cannot function. Manufacturing has come to a standstill. Then the Pakistani manufacturing sector, which is connected to Pakistan's cotton sector, will be affected because cotton production is going to be adversely affected. People, small farmers who have lost the crop and have also lost the seeds for the next crop will have to be provided a living and a means to get back on their feet. The country's infrastructure has been adversely affected. Roads have been washed away. Railways have been washed away. Just to give you an example, in Swat, which is this picturesque valley up in the north of Pakistan, in Pakhtunkhwa province, there were 43 bridges across different rivers. All 43 bridges have been washed away. The oldest of these bridges was built in 1928, the newest built in 2008. So basically what we are looking at is 80 years of infrastructure washed away by this massive flood. And that is going to be a very, very difficult phase indeed. But even the relief and rescue phase of making sure that the people get dry rations, that they have a roof of some sort, some kind of shelter, whether it's a tent or some other makeshift accommodation, and that they are protected against diseases, especially waterborne diseases, and the whole country protected against epidemics. Those are concerns that are the most immediate concerns.
What is the Pakistan Embassy in the US doing to support flood victims? We know that you were in Islamabad following the floods. What was your role there?
The Pakistani community in the United States is almost 1 million strong. All of these people, I mean, you know, if on average every Pakistani living in the United States gives $100, we are looking at $100 million that could come that way. People don't have to give to the government. They can give to various NGOs and charity organizations and the United Nations. And the Pakistani embassy is primarily working on 3 different levels. First, we are dealing with the United States government and with the international financial institutions that are based in Washington, D.C. We are ensuring that they all know what the facts on ground are. We are coordinating their assistance. The United States was the first with the most aid offered to Pakistan for relief and rescue, for which we are grateful. The United States has provided helicopters with crews, which have been key in saving the lives of people who were trapped in the initial phase of the flooding, and especially in places where the floods came totally unexpected or without forewarning. There, those helicopters were very important. Then there has been economic and medical assistance that has been provided by the US. We are also coordinating the massive reconstruction phase programming and planning, because Pakistan will not be able to rebuild its infrastructure without international assistance, and in that the United States, its allies, and the international financial institutions such as the IMF, the World Bank, and even the Asian Development Bank will play crucial roles. The second level of our activity is directed at the American public, people who are not of Pakistani origin, Americans in general. The American corporate sector has so far contributed $10.5 million. We think that that assistance can grow many-fold. Several companies, for example, have provided things in kind, American corporations, from manufacturers of bottled water are providing bottled water, people manufacturing water purification tablets and water purification systems are providing that, tent manufacturers are providing tents. So all of that is being coordinated here. And the third is the Pakistani American community, Americans of Pakistani origin and Pakistanis living in the US, and we are trying to mobilize them as well. We understand that the Pakistani community living in the United States also has political views about Pakistan, and some of them may have reservations about some of the political developments in the country. But our effort is to try and make everybody recognize and realize that in times like this, it's not which part of the country you come from, it's not which political party you belong to, it doesn't matter what your views are, it's about getting assistance and support and help there. Pakistani doctors are volunteering, many Pakistanis have contributed in kind and many in cash, and there are a large number of non-governmental organizations also. Then the fourth function that the embassy is performing is to make sure that the large number of volunteers that are offering their services to go and serve in Pakistan, that they can get to Pakistan and help with the effort without too many difficulties. While I was in Pakistan, I traveled with Senator John Kerry and the President of Pakistan, President Asif Zardari, to the flood-affected areas. Let me just say one thing. The pictures and images you see on television or in the newspapers just do not give you a real idea of the magnitude of the disaster, which is why when some people on Pakistani television say, oh, why was this not done or why was that not done, one feels like telling them, if you just comprehended the magnitude, you would not be saying this. Because what I saw there was that you have towns and villages underwater for miles running, getting just the basic necessities there is a logistical nightmare, because the road is flooded, the rails are flooded. So if the rails are not running, the trains are not running, and the railroad is washed away, the road is washed away, the only way you can get food in is into some airbase, and it can only be airlifted. Well, guess what? Not every airstrip or airfield is easily accessible either. So it has been a very big, huge effort. The Pakistani military, Army, Navy and Air Force have been very prominent in providing the services, but that's mainly because they have the means, helicopters, boats that can get there. But all elements of Pakistani society and of government are also busy in dealing with what is a gargantuan tragedy. It's just the sheer magnitude. It's not easy for people to remember. And just to give you an example, at the time of partition, it was believed that 4 million people crossed over into Pakistan. So we were dealing with 4 million refugees in 1947. Today we are dealing with 2 20 million people. That is 5 times the number of people that were affected by the earthquake of 2005, and the land area is also much larger than before.